All right, Chrome people. Well, that's not terrible. What do you think? I changed some settings on my computer to see if maybe it's a little better on Chrome. I don't know though. How is it feeling on Chrome? On YouTube, I mean. Are we feeling better? It's lagging a little, I think, but is it not a disaster or what? I also have another browser I try. Brave browser it's called or something. Okay, see on my end it's a little slow on my end. But on your end it's not. You say. All right. Oh, pop out chat. Oh, wait, I can pop out the chat. Wait, this is interesting. Okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to, let's see. Although actually, the number is being pretty decent here. I'm going to shrink my browser and see if that helps. Okay, I just shrunk the preview browser because hang on a second. Why is this thing still live? That's weird. What is that? Oh, I had two. I'm going to shut this and hope I don't just shut the browser on you guys. Let's see if I did. Let's see if here it is. Okay, yes. All right, still streaming, closing this. Well, let's see. One thing I just did was I just shut the browser so that I'm not looking at it, and supposedly that can save like 10% of the anger. We're going to find out. Anyway, it just got better? I literally I found out how to pop out the chat so it's separate now, and the browser part where I look at myself is shrunk. So now I can't see myself on either of you, but supposedly it's supposed to add 10 or 20%, less processing or whatever. Anyway. See, it still looks like it's eating up a lot of CPU, but if it looks better on your guys' end, good. So, all right, let me get TikTok going. Just let me know if it gets worse. Hold on. Put this on regular chat. There we go. And then you guys stop chatting and you always get me worried. Did I just like hang up on YouTube or are they still there? Manda or somebody? Did I hang up on the YouTubers? I worry a little bit because the chat stopped. And I did close. Oh, you're still there. Okay, there we go. Okay, you scared me. I was like, oh God, I closed the chat. Okay, but so far, the quality seems like okay at least. Okay. Actually, I'm keeping an eye. I also installed a temperature monitor to see if it's the temperature, but my temperature is actually being okay. I think it may just be my computer's old and the processing is difficult. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I've sort of done everything I can at this point. I think it's just literally old computer and YouTube updated something. All right, let me 1 second here. Updating my TikTok. A lot better than what we started with. Maybe, well, started with today, or you mean started with another day? Because I did shrink my window. Yeah, do you mean started with today or today? Oh, okay, then that could be because I shrunk the window. Like I said, I popped out the chat for YouTube and shrunk the window because apparently showing the window adds another 10 to 20% drag on the processor. I don't know. I did actually download what is it? Brave something, whatever, a different browser I could use that's a little better, but I thought we would try this today. All right. Iran, Israel, ceasefire holds. All right. About to start TikTok. 1 second here. At least it's not melting down. Kind of interesting not looking at the screen. I almost prefer not looking at it. It's kind of funny. I realize now, like whenever I have whenever I normally do this, I'm looking at the screen and it's always kind of freaking me out a little bit. It's not fun watching. Whenever I go on TV, I would always have them turn off the monitor. So I wasn't actually watching myself because I was like, I don't want to see myself. Because you get distracted when you see yourself. It's very weird. All right, 1 second here. I'm just looking at the TikTok gifts. Rising key. Don't know what that is. One moment here. La la la. Super Live Star. I thought we did that already, didn't we? All right. All right. Let's I'm just gonna get this rolling. All right, I'll stop futzing with this. Futzing. All right. TikTok going live. Thank you, Salvatore. Does Opera work with streaming on YouTube? Because Firefox, for example, Safari does not. I'm happy to try Opera. I tried a couple ones that were slightly better. All right, here we go, TikTokers. Woo woo, woo woo. Plug in the mic. Fine. Picky. Sorry. Hang on. Got to plug in my mic on TikTok. Microphone. All right, there we go. All right, that should be kicking in on TikTok any moment. Hand is feeling good. Actually, hand was hurting yesterday. Today, hurt a little this morning, took my prescription, and it hasn't hurt at all, which is really good because yesterday was hurting, So I look fabulous. Thank you, David. It was hurting yesterday. It's not hurting today, which I'm glad. So, oh shit, you're right. I've got to have the hand in the air. Thank you, Jason. That's right. I'm supposed to have my hand in the air so that it doesn't swell. And it's kind of annoying. Even with the pillow, it actually is annoying, even with the pillow. I'm going to put a sock down. Maybe that'll help. It just it kind of bothers your funny bone after an hour of sitting with your arm like this. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome. How we doing today? Hey, Mustard. Hey, guys. I am John Aravosis. Welcome. We're going to talk about the latest from Israel and Iran. Not a ton of news today. The news might actually be a little better. I mean, Trump did lie. Let's get that out of the way. Trump totally lied about the mission and how well it turned out. But the good news is it may not be as bad as it initially seemed in terms of how it turned out. Going to get rolling here. We'll talk, like I said, about the war, about where things stand with the ceasefire. Please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok and also on YouTube. Oh, the Elton John. The Elton John glasses come with earrings, we realized. Oh, that's funny. When I move my head, it actually throws the earrings around. Thank you, Big Hawk, for the star goggles. But yeah, please keep the gifts coming, guys. I do this for a living. Your gifts pay the bills, so thank you. So, yeah, let's talk about this. So the ceasefire is still holding. That's good news. There were no new strikes at this point. Kind of all over the place in terms of what the damage assessment is. Trump says that he will now be, or his team will be meeting with the Iranians next week. Let me see what else I've got here about a potential nuclear agreement. Well, this is weird. So Trump is out of his mind. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Melanin. And thank you, Marsha. Trump is saying they're going to meet with the Iranians next week. But at the same time, Trump is saying, but it doesn't really matter. We don't need a deal because we've so destroyed the Iranian nuclear ability. They'll never be able to build nuclear plants again or whatever. And it's like, no, I doubt. I mean, no, that's not true. But it's disturbing because he literally even said that. He said, yeah, we're going to have negotiations, but I'm not really too worried about what happens because it doesn't matter. Well, here's a thought, Donald. If you go to negotiate with the Iranians and you say it really doesn't matter if we reach an agreement, then if I'm an Iranian, I'm going to go, okay, well, let's not reach an agreement then, because the only agreement for the Iranians is going to be taking something away. Why should they do it? Right? So that doesn't quite make sense. Well, the issue in terms of where things stand with the efficacy of the raid, as you may recall, U.S. attacks Saturday night or Saturday, whatever time it was Saturday night, Ukraine time, at least, Israel, Iran, whatever the countries are, Iran time. And Trump immediately says, thank you for those. Trump immediately says that the attack was an overwhelming success. We have obliterated the Iranian nuclear facilities. They're gone. And people were like, well, how do you know that? There is no way that Trump had any battle assessment, damage assessment that first minute. It would have taken a couple days to get. And Trump immediately said, oh, no, 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 they've been completely obliterated. And we now are going to call off the war. We don't have to attack anymore. The Israelis don't have to attack anymore. And, a lot of us at the time said, well, okay, I mean, it would be nice if we destroyed enough of the Iranian nuclear facilities that we and the Israelis did not have to attack anymore. But wouldn't it be good to know that before we promise not to attack anymore? Well, Trump pushed the Israelis into a ceasefire and ending the war. And again, I'm all for ending the war if the threat is over, if we've sufficiently destroyed the Iranian capability, right? But Trump claimed we obliterated the Iranian capability. He claimed yesterday that we so obliterated it, Iran will never be able to build a nuclear program ever again. And I was like, really? Like, okay, that sounds a little braggadocious, right? And then he forced the Israelis into a ceasefire and ending the war based on the notion that we've so destroyed the Iranians, it doesn't matter. And again, we ourselves stopped fighting. Very often in these kind of attacks, and I know just from over the years working on these things, very often, well, every time actually you attack, then you've got to do a damage assessment where you use satellite, maybe sensors, maybe guys on the ground, spies, etc., to determine how much damage was really done. Did you hit the target? If you hit the target, did it work? For example, this bomb, the bunker buster. Couple things. One, it had to hit the target in the right spot. Two, there was talk of using 2 or 3 of these bunker busters in the same spot so that like you hit one and it blows up and it opens a space. The other one comes in and it goes even deeper because now there's a hole in the ground where it exploded. It goes deeper, it goes off. It creates a bigger hole. Third one comes in and goes even deeper, right? You've got to hit the same spot to do that. And from what I read, that's not particularly easy. So did we hit the right spot? Did we hit the right spot repeatedly? Even if we did, was this bomb sufficient to destroy the facility buried under the mountain? All of that takes analysis to do. Trump immediately reached the decision that, yes, it worked. We can stop the war and go home, and Israel should stop as well. Well, maybe, right? Or maybe we need to return. General Kimmett, who's very good. I've met him before. Really neat guy, retired. He just said on TV a couple hours ago, he said, yeah, we need to see the battle assessment. And if, it may tell us we haven't done enough damage and we're going to have to go in one more time. Well, how are we going in one more time when Trump is the one that like forced everybody into a ceasefire, right? I mean, we're going to start the war again. I mean, anyway, these are the real life implications of having a president who lies, having a president who isn't an expert on really anything, having a president who isn't particularly bright, and is a narcissist, only cares about himself because he's interested in getting a Nobel Prize. A lot of people think that's what's going on here. Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize. I shouldn't say a lot of people. He's made it very clear. He had a series of tweets in the last week and said, nobody gives me credit. Nobody gives me a Nobel Prize. I solved the war in India and Pakistan. There wasn't a war in India and Pakistan, and both countries said Trump did not solve it. And he gave like 4 or 5 different crises and claimed he solved it and he deserved a Nobel. He wants a freaking Nobel. That's what's going on. And you don't get a Nobel if the battle keeps going on. You get a Nobel if you stop the battle. And he therefore stopped the battle before we knew if the battle should be stopped. That is not wise. And again, that's why I say, people like to defend Trump and say it doesn't matter that he's a narcissist, that he lies, that he does things for his own self-interest, right? They kind of say, well, those are character flaws, whatever. Except the character flaws have actual impact on national security in this kind of a situation. When we're involved in a war and we're trying to decide whether we stop our involvement in the war, we need to know where it leaves America safer or less safe. And if the president is lying because he's only interested in getting an award, that does not bode well for our national security. Anyway, this. Anyway, in better news, the Israelis are saying, well, okay, the Israelis have been saying many different things. The Israelis initially gave some information to Trump that was bullshit. Basically, they gave a damage assessment and said critical infrastructure was damaged. I'm going to paraphrase, but critical infrastructure was damaged at Fordo, the really important facility, right? Oh, thank you. Thank you for the give. Who's that? Of Marsha. Thank you, Marsha. And thank you, Courtney, as well. Fordo is the really important facility that can process uranium to the degree that it can be used in a nuclear weapon. That's the one that's buried in the mountain, right? That we really need to take out. And the Israelis say, oh, yes, Trump is right. Fordo, critical infrastructure was damaged at Fordo to the point where the facility is no longer operational. And I'm listening to this going, and then I asked Callum about it, and then I heard somebody on TV. I'm listening to this and I'm going, critical infrastructure? Is that the way you refer to, centrifuges and all the stuff you use to make a nuclear bomb? Like critical infrastructure? Like when I think of infrastructure, I think of, the walls, the water, the electricity, right? Infrastructure, that literally the way we use infrastructure in America, roads. Usually we don't use it to mean the machines. Well, when the Israelis said today that we damaged critical infrastructure, thank you, Jess, at the most important facility, and it therefore was not operational, they could have simply mean we cut the power. If we cut the power, that would be hitting critical infrastructure, and it would take the facility offline. It would no longer be operational. That doesn't mean we did anything significant, because all they have to do is hook the power back up. Anyway, my point is, the first Israeli assessment was bullshit. It was something they gave Trump, and they clearly wrote it in a way that they weren't lying, but they weren't saying anything. Subsequently, Barak Ravid, who's very good, he's a journalist, he's Israeli, he writes for Axios, he's very good, very objective, but also has great security sources, national security sources inside Israel. He said today, and I took some notes on what he said. He said today, Israeli intelligence officials say there is severe and substantial damage to Iran's nuclear program, specifically Fordo, which is the important one. Israeli Atomic Commission, which he says is very credible people, the Israeli Atomic Commission, say they believe the enriched uranium, all 400 kilograms of it or most of it, is trapped under the surface at Isfahan and maybe some of it at Fordo. That would be good news. So Isfahan is another uranium enrichment facility. Fordo is the really scary one. Isfahan, just to sort of clarify here, uranium enrichment. Oh, thank you for the goose there. Oh, my elbow is already hurting me. Ow, 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 ow. There were 3 uranium enrichment facilities that we had: Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo. Fordo is the most serious one, the one that we really had to take out. The other 2 were still important. Isfahan's one of the other 2. He's saying, and to enrich it is because, just to remind folks, uranium, and I'm not the nuclear expert, but I do some reading. Uranium comes with like 2 different isotopes or whatever. One is uranium-235, one is uranium-238, I guess. 238 is nice, but you don't really make nuclear bombs out of it. 235, you do make nuclear bombs out of it. The thing is, when you get the uranium, a lot of it, I believe, is going to be 238 and not 235, not the stuff you want. So you've got to filter it, enrich it to get rid of the stuff you don't want, and concentrate and keep concentrating and saving the stuff that you want for the bomb, uranium-235. That's what the enrichment facilities do. They take something that's very polluted and basically purify it. And once they purify it, it's able to be turned into a bomb. That's what these facilities do. And the facility that refines it the highest level, the closest level of what they need for a bomb, is Fordo, which is the one that was buried in the mountain that we needed the really big bombs to take out. All right, back to this. One of the questions was, Iran had around 400 kilograms, like 880 pounds or whatever, of uranium, purified uranium, refined uranium. Very dangerous stuff. And the question was, what happened to it? Well, Trump immediately, again, based on no information whatsoever, Trump immediately said, oh, it's all buried, we destroyed it. Then J.D. Vance gets asked about it yesterday, and realizing that Trump lied, because Trump didn't have any idea what had happened to it, J.D. Vance gets asked about it and goes, it doesn't matter what happened to it. And I was watching him going, It doesn't matter what happened to the 440 kilograms of refined uranium that Iran has that could make many nuclear bombs. It's lost, and it doesn't matter if the Iranians are hiding it or if terrorists found it or if it's buried. Well, the Israelis are now saying that they think the enriched uranium, all 400 kilos, all 400 kilos or most of it, they did say or most of it, are buried under the two sites, Isfahan and some of it at Fordo. That's good if that's true, because that would mean the Iranians did not take it and move it elsewhere. That's good. Hamza, you're leaving us. Don't be a troll. Don't be a troll. Sorry, we had a little troll over on YouTube. It's so rare we get the YouTube trolls. So the Israelis believe that the majority, if not all, of the enriched uranium was either buried, at one of the two facilities we bombed, which would be very good. He also added that let me find, what was this here? The Israelis are tracking and monitoring the sites so the Iranians will not be able to get it out, meaning they're keeping an eye, whether they're using satellites, whether people on the ground, who knows, whether they've got spies, but they're keeping an eye on the sites so that the Iranians will not be able to dig it up, basically. 2 pillows on it will rest your elbow and lift your hand up enough to bring down swelling. 2 pillows instead of 1? I'll get a second one. Why not? Ugh. I'm not... Although 2 pillows gets in the way of my microphone, but anything that'll help my arm, although I'm not sure if this is 2 pillows. Well, maybe that'll maybe that'll give me a better position too. I had hand surgery the other day, although right now it doesn't have to be wrapped up anymore, but the doctor said I should wrap it because the compression of the wrap actually helps the swelling, which is good. Otherwise, I did have it off. It looked good. I was glad to have it off because then I can move my fingers. So feeling much better today. All right, let's go on here. So, the final thing that Barak Ravid said, who's the journalist working for Axios, who has a lot of really good Israeli contacts, his Israeli intelligence contacts say they think all of the strikes pushed the Iranian program back 10 years. Let's hope it's true. The Israelis tend to be experts on these things. The Israelis get no benefit out of lying. Put it this way. If Israel had an incentive to lie, thank you, Jean-François. Merci bien pour le café. Thank you, Eddie. If Israel had an incentive to lie about the status of Iran's nuclear program, it would be an incentive to say, it's a danger. We have to attack, right? It's not to Israel's benefit to say, oh, it's fine. We hit everything. They're set back 10 years. All is well, right? I mean, that if it's the truth, that's fine. But there's no reason Israel would lie and say this, right? Right? Why would they? There's just no reason they would say it. You wouldn't. It's not to their benefit, in terms of a lie, to say that Iran is no longer a threat, right? I mean, whereas it could be to their benefit to say Iran is a threat if it's not, right? So anyway, the fact that the Israelis, at least some Israeli intelligence, are saying that the Iranian nuclear program has been set back 10 years is credible, meaning it's not spin. It doesn't mean they're right. They might be right. They might be wrong. But if the Israeli intelligence, or some of them, are saying that they set back Iran 10 years, that means they really believe it. That would be great news if it's true. Now, Trump said it was set back forever. He's lying. Other Israeli intelligence that I read today said, reports of Israeli intelligence said that it was set back several years, not 10 years. Still, that's still not bad, right? That would still be pretty decent. So see what Mike is showing here. All right, what else we got here? CIA Director Radcliffe. Okay, and then the CIA Director weighs in, Trump CIA Director, and gives a little bit of a different spin on the amount of damage done. CIA Director Radcliffe on Wednesday issued a statement saying that the CIA had obtained a body of credible evidence that indicates Iran's nuclear program has been severely damaged by the recent targeted strikes. I like that. Severely damaged. Trump said obliterated. CIA is saying severely damaged. Severely damaged is not obliterated, but that's fine. Oh, hello. Oh, that's creepy. I mean, kind of cool, but kind of creepy. The butterfly, Marsha. There's a gift on YouTube that's like a butterfly, but it's this, it looks like it's a bug attacking you. That was very funny and a little creepy. Oh, it's making me laugh. Oh, that was hilarious. Just because it was literally like this big thing crawling up your chest. They ought to do something, some creep out thing like that. But basically like some creepy cockroaches crawling on you or something. You know what I mean? Luna moth. That was weird. That was a little weird. So what else we got here? Right. And then U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency said their initial assessment is that we only set back the Iranian program 3 months, 2 to 3 months, and that we did not do significant damage. So, you know, we need to know here because we can't have a situation where the Iranians decide are only 3 months behind and decide to build a bomb. But let's see. What else we got? Beep, 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 beep. Oh, so Trump, of course, because, you know, Trump's got to do his authoritarian thing. Trump announced today they're limiting the amount of classified information they share with Congress because somebody leaked the DIA memo, the DIA Defense Intelligence assessment of the bombing. And it's like, really? I mean, okay, Trump already, the briefing for Congress on the attack isn't until tomorrow. Legally, crazy butterfly again. Thank you, Blue. Legally, Trump is supposed to brief the core members of Congress, like 8 of them, before the attack happens. He didn't. You're supposed to brief really all of Congress after an attack happens. He didn't. They were supposed to be a briefing yesterday, and then we all found out that Defense Intelligence said Trump lied. Thank you, Marsha. They canceled the briefing. Now they're talking about doing it tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be almost a week after 6 days after the attack. And now Trump is using the leak as an opportunity to give Congress even less information. It is authoritarian. We don't do it this way in this country. You don't give the president this much power. The irony, I guess if you want to call it irony, is Republicans, and a lot of you guys from abroad may not know this, Republicans created a scandal when Barack Obama was president because he wore a tan suit once. They literally manufactured an entire scandal around the fact that he wore a suit that was tan, light brown. Tan would be the color of this guy's face would be tan because presidents don't wear suits that are that color. That's too light for a president. They literally made a scandal out of it. Then they made a huge scandal calling him a dictator. Again, look what they're doing now. Calling Obama a dictator because he appointed a number of czars. A czar is an American word. Of course, it's a Russian word, but it's an American word we use when the president appoints somebody at the White House to help coordinate policy. For example, for years we had, Amanda's sharing the picture. For years we had an aid czar. Actually, I should see if I can, actually, Amanda, I've got to give you, I don't know if you have my cell. I've got to give you my cell so you can like text me things like that. I can take a picture of it though, to show people. I'll take a quick picture, but in the future, yeah, if you can like, good enough. It's not great, but it's good enough. Meaning on my end. Here you go. It's a good enough picture. That's Obama in his tan suit. There we go. That's Obama in his tan suit for you guys and for you guys to see. I can't see the camera anymore, but I'm assuming you guys can see him. That's Obama in his tan suit. Very, very scary, right? It's insane. So yeah, so then the czars, they claimed Obama was a dictator because he appointed people at the White House to help oversee policy. For example, for years, there was an aid czar, and the aid czar was somebody appointed to basically coordinate federal AIDS policy. It wasn't the head of an agency or anything else. That was just somebody in the White House whose specialty was to coordinate policy on these issues. And Obama had, I don't even know he had an czar, he had a number of different czars. And the Republicans said, oh my God, you're appointing people who are not getting approved by Congress. You're a dictator. Yeah, look what Trump is doing now. And again, it's the hypocrisy in politics of basically not caring about what they're saying, but saying stuff to try to hurt the other guy. But especially talking about, a dictator, and then Trump does everything Trump does. And it's like, la, la, la. Trump and Zelensky. So really quick, some Ukraine news. Trump and Zelensky met on the sidelines of the NATO summit in The Hague today. There was a NATO summit in the Netherlands, a brief NATO summit in the Netherlands today. The conversation took place after the two-day summit's official planned events, lasted about 40 minutes. That's good. Leaders did not issue a statement. Writing on Telegram after the meeting, Zelensky called it lengthy and substantive, saying the presidents discussed all of the truly important issues. Trump later told journalists, thank you. Oh, Lelazi? No, Lelazi did the roses and Russell did the coconut tree. Thank you, Russell. Trump later told journalists during a press briefing that Zelensky couldn't have been nicer and that he's fighting a brave battle. Trump also said he plans to speak to Putin soon to see if we can get the war ended. So interesting that Trump is now on some, I don't know, some kick that he likes Zelensky now. It's so weird. I guess Zelensky bribed him with the minerals, or who the hell knows? I mean, who the hell knows? You know Trump. Zelensky did something. I mean, correct. Better than screaming at him. So I'm not complaining in that regard. But anyway, all right. That's it for the news today. There isn't a ton of news today, really, but we can talk about all this stuff. Let's talk. Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Oh, man. Excuse me. I'm tired. Boy. Well, we know that, Manana, of course. Yes. Right. The true problem for Republicans was not the color of Obama's suit. It was the color of something else. That's exactly right. New York mayor race. I didn't, we can mention it. There was the primary in New York today. The primary is when you pick the person who's going to be the candidate for your party. And then later there's an election right between both parties or three parties or however many parties you have. In New York, they had the primary for the mayor of New York City, and the main candidates were the former governor Cuomo, who left. What did he do? Was it a sexual harassment scandal or something? I'm trying to remember. Was that the Cuomo thing, I think? And the guy Zoran, is it Mamadi? Somebody help me out with the last name. So I know it's Zoran because I remember Zoran stuck in my head. It might be Mamadi, the last name, who's 33-year-old, member of the city council. Mamdani. I was close. Thank you, Tracy. Mamdani. 33-year-old, member of the city council, I believe Muslim American. Again, in America, that's a little unique. Muslim American and a democratic socialist, which makes you very unique in America. Let's see what happens in the general election. He's running against Mayor Adams, who's the current mayor. Cuomo said he might enter the race. Republicans are salivating because let's put it this way. Young people like socialists in America. People of my generation and older really don't. I mean, really don't. And the idea of a socialist winning scares them. And the thing is, Republicans, being the way they are going to use this to paint the Democratic Party as being a party of crazy people. And they will do it very successfully because that's what they do anyway. They're very good at the messaging. There was a big controversy over whether he was anti-Semitic or not. And, he's very anti-Israel. But, New York has I was reading this the other day. New York has not just the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. It has the largest Jewish population of any city in the world. New York has 1.5 million Jews. Israel, I believe the largest city has 700,000 or so in Israel. So I read the other day and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's not the largest city outside of Israel. It's the largest city in the world of Jewish population. So there's concern about that. We'll see. In any case, it's not great. Let's see. I mean, clearly, this is another Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez situation. I suspect young people turned out and voted for him. Let's see. I hope it turns out well. I hope the Republicans don't hang Democrats with this. I think they will. I also hope he runs, relatively to the center. But let's see. So we shall see. But that was a big election yesterday. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know enough about the New York election, though. Uncle Mark is asking about. I don't know enough about New York City politics to know. He was asking, like, if he forms a coalition with people in the center, could he win? I mean, I suppose if he forms a coalition with people in the center, he can win. But I will bet you a lot of people are going to be scared of him. I'll put it this way. I don't know the guy. If I still lived in New York, I'd be reticent. I'd want to know more about him. But honestly, on its face, just that. I think his supporters love him. I think people who don't know him are going to be worried. And maybe he's good enough that when you meet him and you find out about him, you realize he's good and he's mainstream. I mean, he's a lefty, but he's a mainstream lefty, maybe, right? So that's the question, But anyway, yeah, so big story there. I don't know if it was ranked voting. Anybody, New Yorkers know? Manan is asking if it was ranked voting. Was it? Don't know. Oh, excuse me. Yes, several people are saying yes, including Jeffrey on Discord with you. Okay. Anyway, he's also handsome, so Trump will despise him for that. Oh, well, Trump's going to hate him. Yeah, he's a young guy. He's cute. Muslim, Democratic Socialist. I mean, and Republicans will also demonize him because he's a Muslim too. What's his background though? Where's his family from? Just curious. I mean, I did touch on the NATO summit briefly, but there wasn't really much news. We talked about, the important thing that we care about was Zelensky meeting with Trump and having a good meeting, apparently. Oh, Uganda? Really? That's interesting. Huh. Oh, that's fascinating. Other people saying India. He looks more Indian than Ugandan. Or is he Indian born in Uganda kind of thing? You know what I mean? Or family from, Like, is he ethnic Indian from Uganda? That would make more sense, I would think. Indian born in Uganda. That's what I was thinking. Okay. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Only because I was like, Uganda. He looks Indian. Yeah. Anyway. Well, I'm not surprised there's Indians in Uganda. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of Greeks in Ethiopia and Italians too, right? Or there were at least. Scholarship to study in the U.S. Wait, so is he an immigrant here? Dun, dun, dun. Oh God. Couldn't you see Trump doing that? Was he an immigrant or was he born American? He wasn't born American. Grew up in South Africa. That's interesting. Oh man. Came here when he was 7. All right. Well, Trump. I worry about anybody who's here as an immigrant with Trump, American politics are confusing. Yes. I mean, what's for us, especially the election stuff, like the presidential election stuff is totally confusing. I have to make my Alexa raise the temperature. So excuse me, Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. It's getting a little nippier. 77. That's surprising. It's like nippy in here today. Sleeper cell. Yeah. I mean, again, my only concern is whether he's too far left. I don't like far left. That would be, but I don't vote in New York anymore, so I'm not too worried about it. Politics in general is a dirty game. There's a really neat, sorry, I haven't yawned at you guys in a while, actually. There's a really neat, I've told you guys about this before. My friend Marion, who joins the show with us. She's my friend, the Russia expert. Marion had turned me on to Borgen, which is a maybe Netflix series out of Denmark. And what's interesting about it is it's a politics series out of Denmark. The Borgen is the legislature or whatever, the parliament, and and she said to me, and she was right. She goes, "It's Danish, but the politics are like the same." She goes, like, it's totally accessible. Like, you will understand watching the show. I highly recommend it. I forgot what somebody just said here that got me thinking about it, about politics being dirty or whatever. It's a wonderful TV series. I think it's called Borgen, Borgen. If you like politic intrigue, and it's just really good, and it's funny because it's Denmark. I may even watch it again. It's Denmark, but it's totally accessible even if you're not Danish. It's just it's a politics show. Yeah. But it's also interesting as an American to see sort of the parliamentary system, since we don't. Oh, Borgen is castle, like Borg. I'm assuming, right? Bourg. Like Strasbourg. I assume means castle, right? In German. I sort of forgot about that. Interesting. Borgen. The bridge, I don't know. Okay, I don't know the bridge. Excuse me. Zoran has a stunning wife, Syrian wife, who's nerdy and draws cartoons for the New Yorker and the Washington Post. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yes, I watched it with subtitles as well. The Americans is wonderful. We're going to start talking TV shows. Let's not get into our TV show. Berg, exactly, is German. Let's not get into our TV show tangent we do. Well, Cuomo said he might run. He said he might run in the general as a spoiler or something else. So who knows? If that happens, that would be interesting, because would Cuomo, I would think, would take away from Eric Adams, wouldn't he? I don't want to get too much in the weeds here for people who aren't, sort of following U.S. politics, but Hand is doing well. I actually have it wrapped up on purpose because it doesn't need to be wrapped up anymore. But the doctor said for a couple days, wrap it to try to help the swelling, because it is the finger's pretty swollen. So, but my elbow is killing me. I'm telling you guys, this elbow on the pillow thing really hurts. I'm going to lower it again. Ow. It's funny, even on a pillow, after a while, your elbow, it's just like, Adam's apple. I'm reading a PC Null. Your funny bone. It's like not a good thing. Ow. Ow. Anyway, Cuomo did concede, but he said he still hinted he might run in the general election as a third-party candidate or something, or independent, or whatever one, write-in, or whatever one calls it. I don't know. So I forget, Adams is a Dem. Actually, here's a question. That's a good point. Okay, I'm a little confused about this. How does this work? Because Adams is running again, right? Wasn't Adams a Democrat? What is he? I'm confused. Help me out again. Because this was the Democratic primary, but Adams wasn't in it. Did he become an independent? I don't remember. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, thank McAllen about a larger pillow. You're right. I should probably try that. He left the party, Abdul Hamid. I didn't remember. Is Adams running or he's not running? I thought he was running in the general, though. Help me out, New Yorkers. I thought I just read Adams was going to be running against this guy in the fall. Help me out. I can't lay the hand on the pillow. The hand has to be above my heart. Running as an independent. He's running as an independent. That's what I thought. He's not running. Yeah. Okay. You'll get muted again if you say that. I like that. Somebody goes, I said something really rude and you muted me. Yes. Yes. And you'll get muted again. So there. Funny. Don't talk about things you don't know about. Yeah, when I talk about things I don't know about, I ask you all questions so we can all learn. That's what intelligent people do. Intelligent people, I think, or I should say smart people, because you don't even have to be intelligent. But at least if you got something going here, you know when you don't know stuff. But if it's an important topic, you bring it up and you ask people the questions so they can answer and we can all learn. Because if you simply say what it is and you don't know the answer, then you're ruining it for everybody if you're giving the wrong stuff. So yeah, he left the chat. He better leave the chat. Like, I love that. I simply said, don't talk about things you don't know about, and they muted me. Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. Oh my God. What's going to happen now? Where, Surfer? In which, on which issue? Iran, Israel, or um, Zevian? You're kidding. Did you get, you didn't get Trigger Finger released, did you? What did you get what did you get on your left hand? Sorry, somebody over on YouTube's just had hand surgery too. Iran and Ukraine, those are two different topics. I mean, Ukraine is still kind of in limbo. The Russians are slowly doing better. Oh, hey, Jamie. Good to see you. The Russians are slowly doing better, but very slowly. Ukrainians are holding on, but getting hurt. And the Ukrainians can't necessarily win, right, at this point, but they're not quite losing, but they're getting hurt a lot. The Russians, what's interesting about the Russians is Russia, Ukraine, and this is a really important point. I mentioned before, but the Ukrainians so destroyed the Russian military that the Russian military could not come to the rescue of the Syrian dictator. For 50 years, Syria supported, the Russians supported the Syrian dictators. Assad, the father, Hafez, and the son, was it Bashir? I'm forgetting the son's name, or Bashar. The family of horrific dictators, the father or the son, both, or just the son alone, killed 500,000 people. I mean, these are horrific dictators. Russia's big ally and very important to Russia. Things were so bad for Russia that Bashar, that's what I thought, Russia couldn't come to his aid, and he got overthrown a couple months ago, the Syrian dictator. Iran, same thing. The Israelis went after Iran, and they've had like a defense treaty with the Russia that did not actually call for Russia to defend them, ironically, but they had a defense treaty with the Russians, and the Russians didn't do anything. The Russians didn't even tell the Israelis, don't you dare. The Russians put out some general statements like, well, it would be really bad if the Americans bombed. I mean, it was just like, and I'm paraphrasing, but more or less it was like that, like really bad. You're going, really bad? I mean, Russia that threatens, repeatedly to nuke us over Ukraine, right? You better not give F-16s or I'm going to nuke you. You better not give tanks. I'm going to nuke you. And then Israel's attacking Iran, and then we're threatening to attack Iran. And the most they can say is it would be very bad if you did that. That's because Ukraine destroyed Russia. And the Russians have no ability to project their power in the Middle East anymore. I should say not to a significant degree. And they lost Syria and they almost lost Iran. I mean, really kind of incredible in terms of the grand scheme of things. But they're still going at it in Ukraine, correct? They're still killing people. I mean, they're still doing a lot of damage, but they're also advancing very slowly. They've got a good amount of land, but they lost 1 million men, which wasn't very good for them. I think I am going to try to grab another pillow. 1 second here. Maybe I'll grab my, try this one. I'm going to try my bigger, softer pillow. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe. Well, maybe. Well, that might be better. I don't know. Problem is the hand's got to be, oh, I see what you were saying. You were saying like, oh, I see what you mean. I see. Okay, somebody did have a good point. They were like, try to lean my tricep on the pillow rather than my elbow. Oh. It's still not the most comfortable, but I also feel like I'm giving the Italian 4-finger salute or whatever, 5-finger salute doing this, but it's like, or the great things, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny. Anyway, so I should say, YouTube, is it still behaving? The video, more or less? My temperature settings are okay. I'm looking at the temperature. The CPU average is 75 C. So it is a Herman Miller chair, and even better, I got it at an estate sale. So I only paid like $425 for it, which anybody out there who knows these chairs knows that that's a good deal. But the best part is this chair could already be 3 or 4 years old, at least. Every other chair I've bought, I pay $200 for the damn chair, and it like shreds in a year, basically. You got one for $100. Damn. Here, this was the cheapest I ever saw. I never saw them get cheaper than this. We saw it for $425. It was the right size, and I was like, I'm grabbing it. But yeah, it's a wonderful chair. But like, it's a great office chair that in principle should last your entire life, which, as I said, I've been through several $200 chairs that just shredded on me that I was like, all right, no more of this. Anyway, it's called Herman Miller. It's not Arilo. What's it called? What's the type? But Herman Miller, isn't a certain kind of Herman Miller chair. I forget. It's got a name. It doesn't start with an A, does it? I was saying Arilo or something. That's not it. There's some name of the type of chair. Is it Aeron? Maybe it's Aeron. I'm thinking A for some reason, like AI, AE. No. It's the name of the chair. It's not ergonomic. Aeron. I think it's Aeron. Yeah. Anyway, they're great chairs. But as I said, if you ever need to find one, at least got a small one. Well, that's the thing, is they also come in 3 different sizes. So I was kind of like, oh God. Oh, these are like 1,200 or 1,400 new. They're not even 800 new. This chair, at least when I was looking at it, I want to say 12 to 1,400. Oh yeah, they're really expensive, which is why when you get them secondhand, they're still pricey. But I'd seen one at an estate sale for $450. Didn't get it. Should have. Yeah, Jerry says $1,295. Yeah. I didn't get it and I should have. And then we saw this one. We were in an estate sale and my friend was like, get it. $425. They've got to be made in America, I assume. Where are they made? PC knows, if anybody knows. Last time you worked in corporate. But seriously, I got so tired of buying chairs that kept falling apart. And then at first I got like $100 chair, fell apart. Then I got a $200 chair thinking, oh, I spent $200 on a chair. That'll be good. 2 years later, ripped to shreds. So I was like, all right, I am not spending another. And I literally kept the ripped chair forever until we found this. And then the ripped chair went to the ripped chair god in the sky, or it went to the ripped chair farm in the suburbs to live the rest of its life. So, very funny. It's nice though, because it's not fancy. It's a desk chair. It's an office chair, but they're super comfortable. They last forever, absolutely last forever. And they're very expensive new. I said $1,300 new, but they literally last forever. So already I've saved the money from buying the $200 chair and having it break every 2 years. Oh, your chair is 10. Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's amazing. So wait, what did Zev say? Pain in a muscle, probably deep into the thumb. Oh, wow. Weird. Okay. Very weird. Anyway, what was my favorite job in my career? Aaron, that's got to be it. We're talking about my chair. Somebody recognized my chair being a Herman Miller, but I had to do the Midwestern thing, which is to let people know I got a deal. I did not pay $1,300 for my chair. But I got it in an estate sale, but I'm very happy. Favorite job? I've had amazing internships is the thing. I'd have to think the UN. Yeah, exactly. The UN. The UN was the worst job ever, United Nations. I had a great job at the World Bank. It was great. And then I got screwed over by the head of the department named David DiFerranti, because I think people like this deserve to be called out. I was openly gay on the job. First job, I was able to be openly gay, early 1990s. My boss was gay. We were doing a project on Mexico. They used to have a Mexico division at the World Bank, and we were there was a new Mexican government, or going to be a new Mexican government, and we were assembling policy option papers for the Mexican government. And it was basically looking at the entire government and the World Bank, helping them understand from the economy to education to transportation policy, you name it, micro enterprise loans, whatever, helping them figure out, in a perfect world, what should you do as a new government? And it was really fun getting all these, basically working with all these different economists at the bank. They would write the paper. I would edit them, which was a lot of fun. Basically, each paper had to be, I think, at most 5 pages or 10 pages max. I forget exactly. And these bankers knew this. but they would write 40-page papers. So I would take a 40-page paper, shrink it to 10 pages. Well, two of the papers were terrible. One was transportation, and I forgot what the other one was, I think, for SMEs, small and medium enterprises, and for small businesses. How do you help small businesses? So I got to write two of the papers, which was amazing, right? I mean, these PhD economics guys are the other ones. I write two of the papers. We go to Mexico to present our papers to the finance minister, the Mexican finance minister, and he decides he'd like us to each person present their paper, but do it in 15 minutes. So, and I think I presented, I don't know which one I presented, either transportation or small and medium businesses, but literally getting in front in English, thank God. I speak Spanish, but I was like, thank God. We had to get in front of the Mexican finance minister and present our paper, what our proposal is for the incoming Mexican government. So I was really thinking about it, and I got anyway, it was very good. I presented it later. The number two, because the division's run by an economist, of course, World Bank, this guy, David DiFerranti, his deputy comes up to me and says, the Mexican finance minister said there was one proposal and presentation that stood out among all the rest, yours. And I'm a lawyer. I'm not even an economist. And it was, but he was really proud of me. He goes, you did an amazing job. Well, the deal working at the World Bank was, I was a consultant, but I was told if I did a kick-ass job on this Mexican project, they were going to hire me as a full-time World Bank staffer. This is 1994. They were going to hire me as a full-time World Bank staffer. A lot of money, a lot of prestige. As I said, the Mexican finance minister said, I was better than every PhD economist. My paper was the best. My presentation was the best. The head of the department, David DiFerranti, who was on the board of directors of the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, big liberal groups here in town. DiFerranti, and mind you, I'm openly gay in this job. And at one point, we heard there was concern in the office that my boss was gay and I was gay. And we were like, what concern? Well, some people have expressed concern. Like, why, about what, right? My boss and I can't both be gay. What's going on? Like they thought I don't know what they thought, right? They wouldn't tell us. Keep that in the back of your mind. So David, we go to lunch for David to tell me I got the job, because David said, I literally, at the beginning of being hired, I said, I was told if I do a good job, I can get a permanent position. He goes, that's exactly right. He goes, if you do a good job, we'll hire you. Again, I did the best job. The Mexican finance minister literally said I was the best of all the employees. I go to lunch and David goes, yeah, we're not going to hire you. Your work has really been mediocre. It doesn't stand out. It's just been very mediocre. And I looked at him and I said, David, I wrote multiple essays that your PhD in economics had written. I had to take on the job myself. And the Mexican finance minister, your client, said I wrote the best essay of all, and I did the best presentation of everyone in your entire division. So how is it that you're saying that my work was mediocre? And he goes, I'm sorry, it just was. Now, at the time, he's extremely lucky that it was 1994, because in 1994, I was finally starting to be comfortable publicly being gay, but I wasn't as big an asshole as I am now. Because my next question would have been, David, this is Mr. DiFerranti. This is about me being gay, isn't it? And I never got to say that to him because I was so blown away and so crushed. But all I got to say is, and I'm going to keep saying this guy's name, David DiFerranti, best job I ever had, basically fired me because he claimed my work was subpar, when the client said I had the best work performance of anybody in the entire office. And the only thing that stands out is someone said they didn't like that I was gay in the office. We never knew who. And this guy escorted me out the door. And then, to add insult to injury, they reorganized the offices, and you can try to get grants you get grants from different governments. Like you go to the Danish government and there's all these different grants. And I was trying to get a grant to do additional work. And there's the office gets reorganized. A new woman takes over. I go to meet the new woman. And I said, hi, I'm John Aravosis. I worked on the project. I said, I was talking with, government, blah, blah, blah. And they said that, I forget, I say grant, I forget what it's called. And I said, I understand it's possible that there's the Scandinavian grant or whatever. They said, actually, they believe I could probably get it. She goes, no, you can't. I said, no, actually, they told me they think I can. She goes, no, you're not going to get it. I said, excuse me? She goes, you're not going to work here. And I looked at her and I was like, why? I've told you you're not going to work here. Goodbye. And I was like, okay, what? So the new woman taking over for David DiFerranti somehow got the message that I was to be persona non grata in the office. Again, the only thing that stands out, clearly not my work performance, because the Mexican finance minister said I literally produced the best work of anyone in the office. Everyone in the office loved me. The only thing that stood out was I was gay, and people knew I was gay. And someone in the office reportedly had a problem with me being gay. I heard. Yeah. So anyway, I don't like it. Really, the thing is, this is the stuff that it still upsets me at this age, even though it was 1993, because, and this is the problem. Like, and again, women go through this, blacks go through this, a lot of people go through this, like, not just gays, but, you think back to it, being able to get a full-time job at the World Bank in 1993. I mean, that was a shitload of money. A shitload of money. That could have been $150,000 a year back in 1993, guys. 33 years ago, making $150,000 a year. I can't even imagine how set for life I'd be right now. In any case, very upsetting, but it was potentially the best job I ever had as a real job. I also had an amazing job at the U.S. Embassy in Argentina for internship, but working in the political and economic sections, fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I had a really fun job in Paris for a summer. That was really cool, working for the Lyonnaise des Eaux, a big French multinational. But as far as jobs, honestly, working on my own has been very exciting. Alaska was tough because my boss was an asshole. The UN boss was a bigger asshole. What the hell's her name? Myra? Not Myra. Already forgetting her damn name. Mila. That was it. Mila. Total asshole. And totally incompetent and totally corrupt. And happy to go to court to prove it. But Stevens was an ass. My boss was a jerk at the Hill, unfortunately. So that was one of those jobs where the job was fascinating, but the boss was such an asshole that he made you cry because he was such an asshole. And staff would watch him do this stuff to me, and they would be like, how do you deal with this? We were on a trip to Europe once, and going to Europe, and he didn't like, who knows, something he didn't like. I didn't do it, by the way, but didn't like something. And Stevens was classic for changing his mind and then pretending like he didn't change his mind. And I think I did do something. I did, but I prepared a speech or whatever that he wanted. This isn't the speech I wanted. I wanted a speech about something. I said, no, Senator, you specifically told me you wanted a speech about this. No, I didn't. He threw it at me and he goes, and if you don't have this done by the time we're over the Atlantic, if you don't have this done by the time we land, you're fired. And literally, one of the other staffers turned to me and they said, how can you work for that man? And I was like, what do you do? But again, my generation, I think we sucked it up more at work, I think, than kids do today. And to some degree, that's bad. To some degree, it's good. I think a lot of kids today have got too much of a chip on their shoulder about work. But I think my generation took too much trauma. Like, he was an asshole. World Bank guy, I think, literally discriminated against me because I was gay. Mila at the UN was the biggest bully I've ever experienced in my life, as did multiple staff. And again, I got the evidence to this day. I've still got the paper evidence. Horrific. And my generation just put up with it, unfortunately. And I think to some degree it is true, but to some degree you also worry. You're at the job, you're paying rent. In my case, I moved to New York for the UN. What do you do? I moved to New York. I've got a 1-year lease. What do you know what I mean? Like you kind of think, do I really cause trouble or not? Right. You know, but I do think to some degree, our generation perhaps was too accommodating. My generation, I'm between Gen X and Boomer. I'm between the two. I think I tend to be more Gen X than Boomer because of my tech background and everything else, probably. But I think our generation, I'm not going to give a summary, Randy Fred, let it go. But I think my generation sucked it up a little too much on the job with bad bosses. But as I found at the UN, young people were just obnoxious. Far too many of the young people in my office were just full of ego and obnoxious. And they thought their 3 years of experience in the workplace made them the cat's meow, to use an expression from my grandparents' generation, right? They thought they were the best thing since sliced bread since they worked 3 years. My favorite was, I've been working on the internet for 3 years. And I was like, yeah, and I've been working on it for 20 years. Like, show of hands, who had one of the top blogs in the world? Political blogs, raise your hand. Not you. You know, but an arrogance that is not helpful either, you know. I did go to law school, yes, at Georgetown, and did a master's in foreign service. They have a international relations program there too, which I preferred. I did both, but I preferred the international relations. Did not go into law, but I do use it a lot, I would say. It's very helpful. The hand, yeah, now that we're towards the end of the show, the hand, I have trigger finger, which hopefully is gone. Trigger finger is a very weird thing. I can show you on this hand. Basically, I mean, it's fine now, but you close your hand, and as you open it, one of the fingers gets stuck, and then you get to a certain point, and it lets go. And they say it's like a trigger, like something triggers it. And like my hand's fine now, but it just literally holds the finger back, and if it gets really bad, it doesn't let go. The pulley, it's called. I'm going to call it the string or the cord that goes through. Imagine like a marionette. There's literally, the doctor showed me, he goes, you want to see it? I was like, sure. Looked up, there was a hole in my hand. There's a cord going through your hand. It's white. And the cord pulls, and it pulls your finger down, and it lets go, and it does this or whatever. But it's not a tendon, believe it or not. It's called a pulley. It goes through a tendon, believe it or not. He goes, you want to see? I was like, okay. So I looked over. He had a big hole in my hand. He pulled the thing out so I could see it. I was like, okay. But in any case, it gets swollen. The thing that pulls your finger up and down, that makes you go toot toot. You can imagine there's a thing that pulls and a thing that lets go or whatever. It gets swollen, and it won't go through the hole in your knuckle. Basically, I'm giving too simplistic, but it won't go through the hole in your knuckle, and it gets stuck. Well, when it gets stuck, your finger gets stuck, and then so much pressure builds up that then your finger pulls all the way through. So they go in and they make the hole bigger so that the tendon goes through. It's called a pulley and not a tendon, Adam. But yes, he even like pulled it out for me. It was crazy. But they've got to go in and make the hole bigger so so the pulley, the string can go through that pulls your finger up and down. So but it's surgery. Gary, your son had it. I know, pulley. That's what they call it. He kept calling it a pulley. I said, you mean it? I kept saying, you mean a tendon? He goes, no, a pulley. I was like, okay. But because it's hand surgery, it's not a ligament either, I think. Because I tried that too. I said ligament. He said pulley. Hand surgery takes a while to heal. It just takes a while to heal. So it's right now I've got it wrapped up. It doesn't need to be wrapped up, but he recommended wrapping it because the pressure of the compression helps it swell a little bit less, and less swelling means it'll heal quicker and possibly less complications of whatchamacallit, not calluses, but scars and stuff like that. So anyway, so I've got this on just to keep it compressed, but I did realize I was using ice. I did realize this is almost protecting too much from the ice, because when I took this off earlier and I used the ice, I was like, oh, so I may take it off and do some ice now. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's fine. I mean, it feels much better today. Yesterday was starting to hurt in that way where you go, oh, this is going to hurt even on pills. Today with the pills, I'm not really feeling it. So I'm hoping. Well, exactly. You don't want to bump it. At least it's here, so you don't bump this as much. Here you would bump the outside. But as I said, after the show, I'm going to take this off, ice it again. But the finger is pretty swollen, which, I'm going to go tomorrow morning and see. I've got to remember to set my alarm, actually. 8 o'clock? I think that's right. Yeah, I think so. I'll have to remember after the show to set an alarm for 8 o'clock. Anyway, but yeah, it's not numb, though. I'm going to tell them the nerves were clearly touched because there's a little numbness in the finger. There's a little bit. And the finger isn't numb entirely, but there's some numbness. I know, stop giving the finger exactly. So I suspect it's, Yep. No, he called it a pulley. And when I Googled, it definitely said pulley. What did we say? A1 and A2 pulleys or something? Somebody last night knew immediately. They were like, it's A1. They knew immediately what it was. But yeah, I think a nerve was touched at least. And nerves take time to heal, but at least the finger isn't numb. It moves, but I'm moving it just a little bit. A1 pulley. Julian knows. I'm moving it. Oh, thank you for the bear. Thank you, Janice. I have to move it a little bit each hour. But what I'm going to do, when I take this off, it moves a lot more, which is good. But when I take this off, then it swells more. So it's kind of not rock climbing. It just happened on its own. Yeah, it just totally happened on its own. So, but yeah, I've got ice bags in the freezer. So I'm going to put another ice bag on it when we're done. Ice wrap. So anyway, that's right. You got to see the tendon. Oh God, man, that's like creeping me out. You do have to sleep with your hand elevated. It's annoying. And I don't even know if I was successful. Like once I woke up and realized the hand was not on the pillow, but you have to leave your hand elevated. So hopefully gravity gets the fluid out so it doesn't swell. But then when you're laying down in bed to sleep, you've got to put it on a pillow. So hopefully it's above your heart. He's funny. I like my hand doctor. He's funny. I was wearing a Star Trek shirt and he made a Star Trek joke and I looked at him. I forgot I had the Star Trek shirt on and he goes, well, the hand, he goes, yeah, the hand, he goes, sometimes it gets really bad and then it can be a problem. He goes, your surgery shouldn't be a problem. He goes, you're not at the Kobayashi Maru stage yet. And I looked at him and I said, well, if it were, I'd be fucked. And he laughed and I said, and I went, oh, I'm wearing the t-shirt. I was thinking, why the hell did you make a Star Trek joke? I was like, that was a hell of a Star Trek joke, but I was looking at him going, what made you possibly think I knew Star Trek? That's very esoteric Star Trek. But I had the t-shirt on, but I was also impressed he knew he did. I was like, okay, I like you. So, but no, he's good. I like him. He's good. So yes, I do not put the ice directly on the skin. I have a barrier. Although what I found was this stuff is almost too much of a barrier for the ice. It wasn't like going through enough to the skin. The pulleys keep your tendons from bowing out like a bowstring when you flex your fingers. Okay. All I know is, from what I know, I think it's the pulley that's going through that must be inflamed. I think the pulley is what's inflamed. How much did the surgery cost? Without insurance, the surgery was $7,000, and that does not include the doctor's fee. So who knows what the doctor's fee is? $2,000? I don't know. With my insurance, I had to pay $700 for the procedure, and I still don't know what the doctor's fee is going to be. The doctor charges separate. This is America. The doctor charges separately, believe it or not. And if you had an anesthesiologist, the anesthesiologist charged separately. In America, when you go to the emergency room, each doctor and nurse that sees you charges you separately. So you go to the emergency room and you pay an emergency room fee. And doctor number one who saw you sends you a bill. Doctor number two who saw you sends you a bill. They'll send you a bill for all the medicine they gave you. They send you a different bill for each test they gave you. I kid you not. It's insane. But my favorite was literally each doctor sends you a different bill and you get them at different times. Like a week later, you get another bill and you're like, what? It's insane. In France, I think the emergency room cost might have been 32 euros, maybe like 32 bucks at the time. Was the cost of going to the emergency room, I think. And then I had a procedure. I had to get like a laser procedure on my eye that might have been $100. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I remember when I was in France and I had like a really bad chest cold that had lingered for like 6 weeks. And because I have asthma, the doctor said, you ought to get an x-ray. And she goes, this is France now, mind you, Paris. She goes, you ought to get an chest x-ray, but I'm warning you, they're very expensive. And I'm thinking, fuck, because like I don't have insurance, right? Because I have American insurance, but I don't know if they're going to cover it because American insurance sucks. She gives me the number. I call the chest x-ray people. It's like noon or something. And I said, hi, I need to come in for a chest x-ray. Oh, okay. When do you want to come in? I said, well, as soon as possible. Do you have anything this week? And she goes, how about 2:00? And I said, what day? She goes, today. I'm like, oh, in 2 hours? She goes, yeah. I said, okay. You're like, that's weird, right? I mean, this is not America. I go for the chest x-ray. My appointment's at 3:30. I get there at 3:25. I check in. At 3:30 on the dot. Mr. Aravosis? Yes, I go. They x-ray me. At 3:40. My appointment's 3:30. At 3:40, the doctor calls me in, looks through the x-ray with me, goes, you're fine. You got inflammation. It's just a cold. It hasn't caused anything. You're good. Gives me the x-ray to take. She goes, check out. At 3:45, I check out. The cost of the chest x-ray in France was somewhere between $75 and $80. That was it. And it wasn't just a chest x-ray. It was meeting a doctor who read the x-ray and gave me the diagnosis. $80. And the best part was I was warned by my French doctor that before you get the chest x-ray, I got to warn you, they're expensive here. And I wanted to like break into laughter when she said that. It's like, yeah, $80 is an expensive chest x-ray, lady. Like $80 won't get you a doctor's visit. A general doctor visit's going to cost you more than that now in this country. Yeah, but I love that. It's going to be expensive. Thank you, S. Lynn, for the gift. It's going to be expensive. And then I checked when I got here. Bingo, $400, AK. That's exactly it. I checked when I got here and people said, oh yeah, here it's going to be about $400. Yep. A CT scan in Japan was $60. Oh God, here an MRI is $2,000. I know that, or at least it was 10 years ago. God knows now. I don't even know. A CT should be more, I would think. I got scammed. This was 10 years ago, probably 12 years ago, maybe. Oh yeah, an MRI is going to be $2,400, maybe. A CT is like $6,000. Yeah. No, you've got insurance. So in principle, your insurance should cover a good part of it, blah, blah, blah. But it's a mess here because also insurance. I mean, let's talk about insurance. My insurance costs $1,500 a month for my insurance. And then I got to pay on top of that, right? I mean, now Obamacare gives you a subsidy. So I'm lucky that Obamacare gives me some money back. But $1,500 a month for insurance? Are you kidding me? I mean, welcome to America. Yeah. And that's the insurance. I still have a $1,600 deductible. So the first $1,600 of any medical I have to pay, which is why I'm paying $700 for my hand surgery. I mean, it goes on and on. The individual coverage. Yep. No, medical, we have good medicine in this country, although not the best, depending, but we have very good medicine in this country. But the insurance situation is so damn expensive because medicine is so damn expensive here. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Trigger finger surgery. Anyway, all right, guys, let's call it quits. Again, we're trying to be not so, 20,015. Oh, I'm sorry, Manan. I'm just seeing your message now. Wow. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Yeah. Being a woman, forget it. That's its own drama. I'm sure. Even I know people working in like banking, like investment banking, all of that in New York finance today, who said it was it was the most sexist experience of their life. And they didn't speak up because they said, you know what, you want the job and you want the next job, and they all talk. But I mean, telling me details of it, and I was like, oh my God, being like a very smart young Ivy League woman going to New York City today, and it is still rampant sexism in the finance industry. It's like, wow. I mean, just because you kind of are like, again, you'd think people would sue them, but again, she didn't want to ruin her career, right? As the woman who sued, Anyway. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. $1,000 for a COVID test? My God. All right, guys. Exactly. DEI. All right. I'm going to go here. Oh, 2 people trying to join. That's unique. That was unique. You're not joining. All right, guys. Have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. We'll be back Thursday, 6:00 Eastern time, US. And have a good night. Thank you for the gifts and thanks for joining us. So thanks, mods, everybody else. All right. As always, Discord. Let me start with you all. Well, at least this went a little better on YouTube. I don't know if it's going to stay this way, but at least it was better. That's good to hear. Oops. Yep. Oh, hold on. Closing this. Where is my YouTube? There it is. All right. See you guys.